Oh, hello guys, and welcome back to my channel after a long hiatus. I don't even know where to start the apologies, honestly. I'm just a terrible YouTuber. I am so glad though to be back here, resuming the bag collection series for you all. The number of messages I've gotten is alarming. I feel like I'm a very, very bad YouTube girlfriend. I've made myself very unavailable, but I'm so glad to be back, as I said, to conclude the bag collection series. So you saw in the title, today we are doing Bottega Veneta, a designer that has gained enormous popularity over the past few years. Also, they recently deleted their Instagram, which made the news a lot. But anyways, let's get into their history so that I could show you guys these beautiful pieces that I've grown to love so much. So in 1966, in Vicenza, Veneto, which is in Italy, of course. Now let me apologize to all the Italians out there as I butcher these names. Michele Taddei and Renzo Zangiaro created Bottega as a luxury leather goods company. So in the 1960s, when they began manufacturing, their sewing machines were not adequate for leather materials. So in consequence, the artisans were forced to use super supple, high quality leather that I will refer to 100 times throughout this video probably as the butteriest, softest leather you'll ever touch, because that's kind of what Bottega is known for, is unbelievable quality craftsmanship and materials. And with this beautiful buttery leather, they of course created the intrecciato, again, I'm so sorry, a pattern which Bottega is so well known for, that crisscross sort of basket weave that they make with that beautiful leather. The brand didn't use any logos, any gaudy patterns. The brand got a lot of popularity. They actually created this fun advertising campaign around the concept, and I think it was something like your own initials enough, or when your own initials are enough, because there was no sort of outlandish branding on any of their leather goods. By the 70s, Taddei and Zangiaro both left the brands, but funnily enough, the person that took over was one of Taddei's earlier wives. When the 80s came around, the brand became incredibly popular with the celebrity crowd. Even Andy Warhol, who was a customer, a client of their New York boutique, produced a short film for the brand. Unfortunately, the 1990s saw a slight decline in the popularity of BV, which kind of makes sense when you think of the 1990s and the trends that were prevalent then. Compared to the essence and the ethos of Bottega, they didn't necessarily mesh well. The 2000s also saw a lot of changes for the brand. Some new designers, from Giles Deacon to German designer Thomas Mayer. The Gucci group purchased Bottega Veneta in 2001, I think. Tom Ford, who of course was a big supporter of the brand, actually encouraged the purchase and the acquisition. In 2006, the brand opened its own school to train future leather artisans in the art of intrecciato. I feel like I'm still butchering that, I'm so sorry. Fast forward to June 2018, of course, when Daniel Lee became creative director of Bottega Veneta, and the rest, as they say, is history. You couldn't keep away, the brand was everywhere. He really brought forth, like Mayer, a lot of the brand's sort of initial mission statement and vision, which was keeping things very clean, brand logo free, putting a big focus on those buttery, gorgeous leathers and minimal lines. And I think that's what made the brand resonate with so many of us out there in the world. You know, that and the fact that no Instagram feed could escape the comeback of the brand with that leather pouch that we will discuss in a little bit. So without further ado, thank you for listening, and let's get into my little collection. All right, so first up, this is a sleeper hit for me. I bought this bag kind of as not an impulse purchase, but kind of a something that I just thought would be really practical. And boy, oh boy, was I right. You got the mini little Jody bag in the supple white leather. I'm a sucker for a white bag. I've repeated that to no end. And this guy was my favorite of the summer. I just reached for it so much. It is, again, the butteriest, most supple leather. You're gonna hear me say that 100 times. It's got gold hardware on the zipper, which is really, really nice, paired with the white. I love the two knots. They make this in the weaved, of course, they're in intrecciato leather, but I really liked the supple leather of this one. It's a similar shape as the pouch, even when you think about it, if you were to, you know what I mean? And it's got kind of a folded detail on the strap, which I really like. Also, it fits a ton, of course. It's this fun sort of V pouch shape, but it's flat at the bottom. So I feel like I'm playing basketball with this thing right now. Anyways, this was a really, really great bag. Bottega price points are definitely up there. And this one, I mean, it's all relative, but this one was on the lower scale of their prices, which I really appreciated. And I got tons of wear out of it. So this was a great bag. Highly recommend the Jody. This one's with the double knots. Now, would it be a Bottega bag collection without a pouch, a leather pouch? When was it? It was in 2018 when they introduced the pouch clutch, as I said. It was bigger than this one. This is the chain pouch, which I fell completely in love with. I'm not big for trend bags. It's very, very hard to persuade me that a trend will last longer than it ought to, basically. And I felt like the pouch was really, it wasn't very kind of utilitarian for me. There's no straps. It's a very cool look. I love, of course, the material. We'll talk about that some more, but you know, you already know. But it was not a bag that I feel would stand the test of time. And then they released it with this big, heavy gold chain and automatically I was hooked. I think I placed an order for it months and months before they received them in store. I was so excited when my SA called me in and showed it to me, but then I was immediately disappointed because the color I wanted it in, which was what I like to call the traditional dumpling color, kind of a fun nude, was not available originally with the big chain strap. They had it in the white, but I have a lot of white bags, as you can see, so I debated and I ummed and ummed about it. I was like, I don't know, should I not? Also, let's be honest, it's not the most practical bag. I was talking about trend bags. This one definitely feels like more of a trend bag than the pouch even, maybe, but there was something, when there's a trend that resonates with like your personal style and you just love a design so much for what it is, like there's something about this hardware, it speaks enough to my personal style that I know that I will wear it and appreciate it for years to come. So yeah, I bought this actually recently. I bought it in the past summer, so 2 years after its release, which is not something I would normally recommend doing because the price points usually go up after their original launch. But there's just something about this bag, and when it came out in that nude color, I don't have a lot of warm neutrals. I'm very much a black and white gray tone sort of human, so it was really kind of a nice hole to fill in my collection with a really beautiful bag that I had been lusting over for 2 years almost now. So love this one, and it's definitely very heavy. This is something that surprised me when it was first released. It is a different mechanism as the pouch. It's a little less satisfying. Sorry, that's Eve. Instead of being fully openable, that's a word, right? Like the classic pouch, the pouch with chain is kind of like this little, well, we know what it looks like. I'm gonna stop doing that now. Also a lot smaller than the classic pouch, but I love wearing it over the shoulder, kind of like a baluchon. Also, it's great to kind of hold this way. It's like it's a big loaf of bread with a chain on it. I love it. And last, I know, but certainly not least, it's a brief one, this one. My love affair with Bottega was definitely one that arrived when Daniel Lee did. Though I have an appreciation for the brand, it was, you know, I was born in the 90s. It wasn't necessarily my cup of tea to wear intrecciato. I didn't necessarily have the maturity or the appreciation for the simplistic lines until probably recently. So this bag is probably my favorite from my collection. Here we have the cassette with chain. I know, she's gorgeous. So this bag, the fact that it is kind of a basket weave, it really calls back to the history of the brand, yet it feels so contemporary. Also, I have a thing with pillowy bags. I don't know if you know this. If you look back in my videos, if ever a bag is soft, I have a couple Chanels that I literally just purchased because I just wanted to squish them like a baby's tush, like a baby slide. This is what it feels like. This feels like a baby slide. I'm a crazy person. I loved it immediately. They made it in the suede and then the buttery leather, of course. When it was first released, it did not come with this industrial looking chain, but I discovered very quickly that they would be releasing, similarly to the pouch with chain, the cassette with the chain in the fall. So again, I held out, I put my name down, and then when it arrived, I wasn't sure, I wasn't certain, I didn't really know if I was 100% sold on it. And then one day, probably day 256 in a lockdown, I decided that it was time to just bite the bullet already. I also love that one of my bags is the gold hardware and the other, the chain, has the silver. This is not necessarily kind of the first, most Bottega-ish colorway I find, the black with the silver, but it's something that I reach for all the time, especially in the cooler seasons. It really matches kind of my entire wardrobe. Super duper heavy, not the most comfortable. This is something that I hadn't thought of. When you wear a crossbody and you lean back, there's a chain in your back. I know, shocking. But again, like all Bottega bags, it is the butteriest, softest leather of all time. It opens this way. As you know, I keep all of my bags nice and stuffed. And misleadingly think that there'd be more space, but because it is cushiony and bubbly in nature, you actually can't fit as much as you'd necessarily think. And here, of course, you have the little Bottega insignia. And it was a quick one, but thus concludes my Bottega Veneta collection. I hope you guys enjoyed my little comeback. And don't worry, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I will be back with the final 3 episodes of the bag collection series. And yes, the last 2 will be the brand that you've been requesting since the very beginning. So you don't even need to comment down below. It's coming. Of course, if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up to encourage me, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This channel is all about appreciating the history and the craftsmanship behind luxury brands and kind of detailing that while sharing some pieces that I've collected over the years. So if you like that, you'll definitely love it here. And you know what? Feel free to comment down below to guess what the next episode will cover. So guys, again, thank you so much for watching and welcoming me back on YouTube. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Bye.